Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Church Online. My name is Will.
Hey, and I'm Justin. We're going to be your host for today. We have a great episode ahead today. Plus, it's Father's Day.
It is Father's Day, so we have some Father's Day fun coming your way. We're also going to get into the next part of our new church vision.
Yeah, we're in episode 3 of the series, Don't Call to Come Back. And if you haven't heard by now, we back. We're returning to in-person services on August 1st with a twist. And so if you don't know all the details, make sure you go back and watch episodes 1 and 2 of this series, and they'll fill you in.
Yes, we will. And Justin, pop quiz.
What you got?
Do you know our church vision?
Of course I do. It's what our name represents. Every person in the city.
That's right. So today we're going to learn how reaching every person in the city starts with reaching every person in our circle.
Okay.
So you ready to get to it?
Let's go.
All right. Well, welcome to church, everybody, and happy Father's Day to all the dads and the father figures watching out there. And Justin, happy Father's Day to you too, brother.
Thanks, man. And because it's Father's Day, I thought we'd get things started off in the only proper way with some dad jokes.
Oh, gosh, here we go.
Yeah, so hey, Will, I got one for you about nurses because I know your wife is a nurse.
Yes, she is a nurse, and it's her birthday, y'all. So happy birthday, girl.
Happy birthday, Marissa. All right, so for all the nurses out there, Will, why do nurses prefer red crayons?
Why, Justin?
Because they often have to draw blood. Get it? Draw blood?
Oh, I get it. I get it.
By the way, is it crayons or crayons? How do you pronounce that word?
Definitely crayons, not crayons. We're not French here.
Like
you know?
French dinner, crayon.
Yes, but crayons. Speaking of crayons, I have a crayon joke for you. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
All right, so what do M&Ms and crayons have in common?
I don't know, hit me.
No matter what color you choose, they all taste the same.
Oh, very good, man. Honorary dad over here. All right, one more for you. This one's actually from my son. So this one is dad certified.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, ready? Have you heard the one about the paper?
I have not.
Don't worry, it's terrible.
All right, that was good. That was good. All right,
Yes.
Cool. Well, speaking of jokes, you know what? A few years ago, we had a whole segment of dad joke battles. I mean, it was amazing.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do. I think you beat me in that. We went one-on-one, head-to-head. The rules were you laugh, you lose. And we actually have a throwback to this. 2017 dad jokes. Check this out.
What did the duck say to the bartender?
What did the duck say to the bartender?
Put it on my bill. Bill. On my bill.
Yeah,
Put on my bill. My bill. Okay.
All right, here we go. Why don't you play poker in the jungle?
Why?
Too many cheetahs. So stupid.
What's the leading cause of dry skin?
I don't know. What is it?
Towels.
Towels?
Towels.
Who came up with these things?
What did Lil Jon do when someone tried to sell him a light bulb?
I don't know.
Turned down for what? What? Watts? What?
Wait. Now that's what I call some dad jokes, y'all.
Yeah.
But I got one more for you. You ready?
All right, let's go.
Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella?
I don't know. Why?
For drizzle.
Oh, drizzle!
Nailed it. Come on now.
Very good.
We don't want you guys to miss out on the dad joke fun. So whenever you text in the check-in, we're going to send you a dad joke in return.
Yes, we got some secret jokes for you. So come on, grab your phone and text in. Will, what I got to do?
All you have to do, just like we ask you to do every time you watch, is to text the word HERE to the number on the screen, 215-999-8575.
So listen, whether you watch on Sundays or you watch on demand some other time during the week, take some time to check in. Even if you're new to Epic, what's up to everyone who's new watching out there? We want to send you a gift as our way of saying thanks for watching. So we're going to hook you up with a t-shirt when you text in. Same info. Go ahead, text here. And by the way, if you're new, I hope you can see that we think church should be fun. Hope you're having some fun along with us today.
Well, speaking of fun, not only is it Father's Day, it's also the first day of summer.
Yes, summer has officially arrived. And you know what that means? School's out.
School is out.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
So hey, all the teachers out there, man, we hope you have a very restful summer after this incredibly easy, simple, normal school year that we've had.
Yeah, and congratulations to all the graduating seniors. You guys worked so hard with everything that was going on. You did it, you made it. Bye-bye.
Way to go, graduates. Well, Will, we're not really dressed completely for summer. You think we should get into something a little more summery?
All right, why not? Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Here we go. Well, hey, it's summer. Will, you're looking good. Got some sunscreen, flip-flops.
Thank you. Ready to go.
I like it.
What do you have going on here?
I am ready for the beach. Come on now, let's go for a swim.
Well, you're ready, but you know, it's not officially summer until you have Will Smith's Summertime playing in the background.
Okay.
It's a vibe, y'all.
Oh, all right, I see. But listen, you're not really a dad, so you don't know. Dads, you know during the summer, this is the song playing in the background of your house. This is a real dad song right here, man.
Definitely a dad song. I don't know about a summer jam.
Hey, I don't think anyone's taking us seriously in this stuff, so we'll be right back.
And we back, y'all. Come on.
Hey, well, along with all the fun we're having, we also have some other important stuff to get to today.
That's right. In a moment, our band is going to lead us in a song called JUBILEE. And in the Bible, Jubilee refers to a time of celebration, a time of freedom. It's one big party. And it's a great reminder that true freedom comes from when we put our trust in God. Yeah. And that freedom is something we want every person in the city to experience.
Yeah, that's what we want for you. And that's what happens when we serve, when we give generously. We get to bring that freedom to people around our city. And so, hey, as we get ready to sing this song today, we'd love to invite you to give. Your giving goes directly towards giving real spiritual freedom, what this song is talking about. We're not just giving towards a good cause. We're not just giving towards a charity. Your giving is going to bring Jubilee to our city. And so, hey, we invite you to give by using that text and keyword. And come on, let's sing together.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. I'm anointed to bring hope. The promise was filled in a moment. We're still watching it unfold. And there's good news for the captive, a proclamation for every soul. There's liberty is for the broken, an invitation to be made whole. Listen for the free man singing, he's delivered me. Look out for the woman shouting, his garment made me clean. Listen up for the seasons changing, he's rebuilding everything. Listen for the people shouting, this is Jubilee.
There is true joy in His freedom. So open your heart and receive it. There is a hope to believe in. Jesus, Jesus.
There is true joy in His freedom. So open your heart and receive it. There is a hope to believe in. Jesus, Jesus. There is true joy in His freedom. So open your heart and receive it. There is a hope to believe in. Jesus, Jesus. Listen for the free man singing. He delivered me. Oh, look out. His garment made me clean.
Seasons changing.
He's rebuilding everything. Listen for the people shouting, this is Jubilee, Jubilee. Can you hear it? Oh, this is the sound, this is the sound of Jubilee. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? This is the sound of Jubilee. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? This is the sound of Jubilee. Can you hear it? This is the sound of Jubilee.
I love the line in that song. It says, listen up, for the season's changing. God's rebuilding everything. And I'm so grateful to know that God's rebuilding.
Yeah.
And so, hey, for all the dads out there, maybe you're in a difficult time. Maybe it's been a hard year. God's rebuilding everything. He's rebuilding relationships. He's rebuilding marriages. He's restoring relationships with your kids. He's rebuilding families. He's even rebuilding our culture and our society, right?
Yeah, and yesterday we all had the opportunity to celebrate Juneteenth, and many of us know about the 4th of July, Independence Day, July 4th, one of our favorite things to celebrate, but some of us may not know about Juneteenth, which is June 19th, 1865. It was the day that the last slaves in Texas heard about their freedom. So not only is it a day that we were reminded of just the fight for Black lives, but also to fight for the human rights of all. Yeah. And it's actually something our church is all built around, building a place for every person in the city.
Yeah, and so we're still rebuilding as a country and as a culture, and we're rebuilding as a church. That's what this series has been about, talking about the future of our church, and we're gonna hear more about that.
Yeah,
today.
Super excited to hear about it, and thank you guys so much for just sending in your questions and your comments. We want to know more, so keep asking those questions.
Yeah, hey, if you got more feedback, we have a Facebook Live coming up this Wednesday. You can hop on with Pastor Kent, and some of our pastors will be on Facebook. And so go ahead, bring your comments, your fun, and your questions to Facebook Live.
Well, it is time to get ready for the message, but before we do, we want to do something special for all the dads out there. So we got some of our epic dads together in a barbershop.
Yeah,
y'all.
hey, shout out to Mighty Sharp Barbershop in Maniac. You guys are awesome.
Asked them a few questions and wanted to get their dad's wisdom, so let's check it out.
I'm Paul. What's your name?
Jake.
Jake. Nice to meet you, Jake.
Shane.
Shane? How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm well. So happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, my man.
You have any little guys at home?
I got a son, 6, little Shane, and I got a daughter who's 4, named Samaya.
I got 3 teenagers, Paul.
3 teenagers?
Yeah, that's why I don't have any hair.
My oldest is 8.5. My daughter just turned 6, so we just had a big birthday party for her yesterday. And then my youngest, Frankie, is 3.5.
Nice, it's good ages. I have a 9 and a 7-year-old. I know it's 18 years ago, but when you found out you were having that first baby, you know, what was going through your head?
Oh man, I was excited. You know, it's an opportunity. I feel like your spouse is somebody that you can love like more than anybody else, and a special relationship. You're like, oh, I get to extend this now to kids, which is pretty cool.
I think, for me not growing up with a dad, I think I was just a little nervous. Like I didn't really have a playbook, or I didn't have like a framework to what it meant to be a father. So I was scared. So for me to be there for my kids, present physically, but also emotionally, that's something that I'm grateful for, that I can thank God for, that they don't have to repeat. I'm not going to repeat that cycle. So that inspires my faith, and it encourages, me to incorporate faith more, to my relationship with my kids. So I want them to see that.
If you were to pick one thing about your faith that reflects in the way that you raise your children, what do you think it would be?
It's interesting because, I feel like the best thing I can invest in my kids is a faith. And it's humbling because you realize you can only do so much for your kids. Eventually they're gonna make their own decisions. And so it humbles you because you do all you can to point them to Jesus, and you have to trust that He's gonna do the rest of the job.
I think just trying to create an environment where my kids are sensitive to God, and just, how can we all just seek God's heart, and for them to have a heart that's sensitive to God, that's something that we really value.
What's one thing that you would, tell one of these young, 22, 23-year-olds about to have their first baby?
Yeah. Well, first, congratulations, because it is a gift. It really is a gift.
Yeah, just take it day by day. It's, there's going to be tough days, there's going to be long days, but soak it in, because it goes fast. My first is already 8, and I feel like he was born yesterday. So just soak it all in and just cherish them while they're young.
So being that it's Father's Day, what's your best dad joke?
Man, I got dad jokes, I got granddad jokes.
But Paul, before I tell you a joke, I need to tell you I'm worried about the calendar.
You're worried about the calendar?
Yeah, man, its days are numbered.
How do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for Fresh Prince.
I read it earlier. All right, well, that's it.
All right. Thanks very much. You do good work, my friend.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep, you bet. Gotta go do a message.
Oh, okay. I'll be watching.
How many lips does a flower have?
How many lips does a flower have?
2 lips.
Father's Day, and Paul, thanks for the trim up on the beard, appreciate it. My name is Jake, I'm the pastor at Epic Roxborough, and today we're continuing our Don't Call to Come Back message series. Now, if you've been with us for the past few weeks, you know that we've been tinkering with what most of us have always thought of as church. And let's be honest, that can be a little scary, a little unsettling. Because if you're like most people, church has always been very easy for you to define. It's been very predictable. You learn it from a young age. I learned it this way. Here's the church, here's the steeple. Open the door and see all the people, right? Sound familiar to some of you guys? Sure, we don't waste any time teaching kids the basics. Church is the building with a steeple that people go to learn about God, to worship on Sundays and Wednesday nights, right? Church is where church people go to do church people things. Now, if you've been around Epic for a while, you've probably been willing to deviate from what you've known in the past, at least a little bit. For one, we have never had any buildings that we actually owned until recently. And the buildings that we rented, well, none of them had steeples. So you are also all a very flexible bunch at this point. But then the pandemic happens, right? And we can't meet in buildings anymore. So we can't meet in those buildings that don't have steeples we used to rent, that we used to love. So no steeples, no buildings, no peoples, not what any of us ever would have chosen. But that shakeup was actually helpful for us in some ways because it caused us to stop and reflect. And here's what I found over years of following Jesus and being in church. It's super easy just to fall into a pattern and go through the motions. It's easy to find something that's comfortable and familiar and predictable, and then just switch to autopilot. But following Jesus isn't about making sure you're in a certain seat on Sunday morning. It's about developing a relationship with Jesus and learning to let him lead our lives. So having our routines interrupted over the pandemic, that's done something kind of helpful to us. It's helped us take a step back and say, is the way we're doing church really the best way for us to do church right now in 2021 and in the days to come? Now, to answer that question, we have to first answer two underlying questions. What is the church, and what is its fundamental purpose? The first one, what is church, is actually pretty straightforward to answer because it's just linguistics. The New Testament in the Bible is written in the Greek language, and the Greek word that's translated as church in the English Bible is ekklesia. Great. What does ekklesia mean? It just means the called out ones, or a gathering of those who are called out. So no buildings, no steeples, no minimum number of people, just a gathering of people who've been called out to follow Jesus. So all those other things, they aren't bad, they're actually just not required. All right, so if that's the church, what's its purpose? And we feel like we're able to boil that down to two big ideas. And we can actually get these from something that Jesus said. Someone asked Jesus, what's the most important thing that we should do? Jesus' response was this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said that loving God with everything that we have and loving our neighbor as ourselves, those are the two most important things. So we would follow that the people who've been called out to follow Jesus, that they would focus on those two things. So as we as a leadership team took a step back and we thought about what does it mean to be an effective church, we knew that whatever that looked like, it had to be a way that we would help people grow in their love for God, and also that they would be able to put that love for God into practice by showing his love to other people. So last week, Pastor Ken talked about how this new model of church we're proposing, which is to have Epic Live, which is a large gathering once a month where we come to meet together, and then the other weeks having Epic Everywhere, which is an on-demand service available for you to watch in a smaller gathering with your friends and your family and your neighbors. That this is actually a very effective opportunity to grow in our love for God within meaningful community. So if you missed that message, make sure you go back to our YouTube channel and check it out this week. Now this week, I want to talk to you about how this new church model gives us a unique opportunity to live out our faith by showing God's love to other people, by loving our neighbor as ourselves. You know, that's always been the heartbeat of our church. Not just to grow in love for God, but help share that love with the people in the world around us. And specifically to share it with the city that God has placed us in. EPIC stands for every person in the city. And our vision as a church is to see every person in the city know Jesus as their forgiver and the leader of their life. You know, even if Philadelphia isn't your city, I hope the city that you live in, that's your vision for it as well. That's been our vision from day one, and that's gonna be the vision of our church for as long as we exist, no matter what model we ever do. But what we've discovered is that what we're doing right now, or what we were doing before the pandemic, that might not be the most effective way to reach every person in the city. Maybe having people come to just a few large gatherings around the city and saying, hey, come check this out, that may not be the most effective way. Gathering all the ekklesia in one place, that may not be it. Maybe there's a more effective way to do that. Maybe we could have smaller gatherings, a bunch of them all across the city and beyond, where people build on natural relationships that already exist to invite people in and grow together. This is the question we're asking. What if the best way for us to reach every person in the city is for each of us to focus on reaching every person in our circle? That's what I want to talk about today. What if the best way for us to reach every person in the city is for each of us to focus on reaching every person in our circle? I don't know if you knew this or not, but you have a circle. You have a group of people around you that you live with, that you work with, that you play with, that are in your neighborhood. That's your circle of influence. And here's the thing, that's not by accident. God has intentionally placed you around those people so that you can represent him to them. Now you might be thinking like, oh, no, that's just the job that I got. Oh, no, that's just the house that accepted our offer. That's just the closest gym to where I live. But if you're a follower of Jesus, then those details of your life are part of a larger, grander plan, part of God's master plan. See, God is on a mission to bring people into relationship with him through Jesus. And he wants you and I to be an integral part of the plan. The Apostle Paul, he wrote this: so we, everyone who follows Jesus, are Christ's ambassadors. God is making his appeal through us. We speak for Christ when we plead, come back to God. As children of God, we have a critical part to play in God's plan for saving the world. We're his ambassadors, we're his representatives. To who? The people that God has placed in our circle. You know, here's what we've learned over the last 13 years of doing church. This is interesting. The most effective way to help someone come to church and begin on a path to knowing God, man, that is a personal invite from someone they know. We invite people to church in a bunch of different ways. We do postcards, we mail those out. We put hangers on their doors. In fact, when we first started the church, we met in a movie theater. And so we would put door hangers with a bag of microwave popcorn in the bag. Now, would I eat a bag of microwave popcorn from someone who's a complete stranger? Not totally sure, but at least it was memorable. We run social media advertisements. We do community outreach like the egg hunt, where we have hundreds and hundreds of families come and get to know us and get to know the church and see our heart. We use all these different ways to invite people to church, and they all work together to reach different people. But far and away, the most effective way that we've seen people will come to church and begin on that path is through a personal invite for someone who says, come and watch church with me, come with me. And that's because there's something sticky about relationships. There's a weight to an invitation from a friend who says, hey, this means something to me, and I want to share it with you because I think it could be really significant for you as well. So over the years, we saw that personal invites were the most effective way to invite people to church. And then we switched to going digital for church. And what we saw was that it is super easy to share the church service with somebody. You just give them a link to invite them to watch. And that was really an effective way for a lot of people. They got introduced to church. They came to faith. It was great. But here's the drawback about that in the pandemic. Like, you couldn't meet together. You couldn't have a shared experience where you get to talk about what you learned and build relationship. You just had to send it to them and hope they watched it. But now that restrictions are lifting, we have another opportunity. You don't have to just send your link to the service to your coworker and hope that they'll watch. You can actually invite them over to your house, have breakfast, and watch it together. I mean, now that we're going back to offices, you can actually watch the service together during your lunch break. So Pastor Kent said in week 1 of this message that he thinks that the days of telling people they can only have church on Sunday mornings in a specific building are over. And I think he's right. The internet has changed the way that we live. And I think it would be foolish, I think it would be irresponsible if we didn't maximize that opportunity to help people learn about God, grow with him, to help us be better ambassadors for Jesus. So beside its flexibility and its shareability, the digital church option also addresses a challenge that we are facing as Christians today. People are more suspicious of Christianity and the church in our country than they've ever been in the history of our country. There was a time when people heard about church and they thought to themselves like, oh, those are the loving and kind people. I can go to them for help. I can go to them for answers. But that is no longer the predominant perspective for people who are outside the church. Most unchurched people, they just aren't flocking to church buildings. In fact, in America, the majority of church growth comes from transfer growth. That just means that someone who goes to church moves to a different city, or people just switch churches. I've heard that number is about 96%. About 96% of church growth is just transfer growth. And what that means is that we aren't reaching the people who need to be reached the most by saying to them, hey, here we are in this building, come over and check us out. They're just less inclined to do that. Let me give you some more statistics that has shown the shift that's taken place. Every year, Gallup tracks the confidence that Americans have in different institutions. In 1985, 66% of Americans said that they had a lot of trust and confidence in the church. That made the church the most respected institution that Gallup tracks. Fast forward to 2019, and that number dropped from 66% to 36%. That means we moved from 2/3 of Americans having a lot of trust in the church to 2/3 of Americans not having trust in the church. And then Barna did a study in 2020 that found that only 27% of non-churchgoers thought that the church had a very positive impact. That means that 3 out of 4 people feel the church doesn't have a good impact. 75% of people almost are going to have a hard time believing that they aren't going to sleep in on Sunday morning. It's not better to sleep in on Sunday morning than to go with you to a place they don't know, with people they don't know, to hear something that's not probably going to be helpful to them. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some people who are going to do that, and we're still going to have that large group gathering once a month for that opportunity. But the reality is it's just not as effective as it used to be. People aren't drawn to the church building the way they used to be. The church is an institution. It doesn't invoke the same intrinsic trust that it has in past decades. There's probably a number of different reasons for that I'm just not going to get into. But here's why that reality doesn't need to discourage us. The church, the ekklesia, the people that Jesus has called out to follow them, it's not an institution. It's not a building. It's a group of people. It's us. And you know what's special about groups of people? They have relationships. They have circles. They have friends. So the fact that people aren't turning to buildings with steeples to find their answers, that shouldn't bother us, because people will always turn to those that they know care about them, to those who are in their corner. And that's why our new church model is designed to help you reach every person in your circle. Now, my strong suspicion is that most followers of Jesus have people in their circle that they would love to come to a relationship with Jesus. But they have a problem. Like, they don't know how to talk about Jesus and bring him up without it seeming kind of forced or maybe even counterproductive. And I get that. And these are the people who we work with, that we live with, that we care about. We have a relationship with them. They matter to us, and that relationship matters to us. So no matter how much we know that they need Jesus, and we're not sure how to bring him up or talk about him without it feeling we're trying to force something on them. And nobody wants to feel that way. So if that's been your obstacle to sharing your faith in the past, I've got good news for you. It doesn't have to feel that way. It's actually not supposed to feel that way. Let me share with you a super practical and natural approach for living out your faith within your circle. This comes from a book called Blessed by Dave and John Ferguson. And it gives us 5 kind of natural ways in progressive fashion of how we can share our faith with the people in our circle. It's an acrostic, and it spells B-L-E-S-S, bless. So the first one, B, it's actually kind of cheating. And I don't have a hard time saying that because the authors actually admit that as well. So the first one, B, is be in prayer. And so technically it should be P for prayer, but plus isn't a word, so it doesn't work. But no matter how many rules they had to break on the acrostic to make it work, I'm really glad that they put prayer first on the list. Because, you know, the most effective thing we can do to make an impact on our world is pray. Man, I don't know about you, but I have about 0% confidence that I can talk somebody into putting their faith in Jesus. And that's not even our job anyway. That takes a supernatural work of God in someone's heart to open them up to that. So the first thing we should be doing is praying for the people who are in our circle and ask God to be working in their hearts, to be working in their lives, to open them up to hearing the message of Jesus. And so also as we pray, we can be asking God to show us who those people are, where he's working, so we can join him in that work. So being in prayer is the perfect way to start in the journey of sharing our faith. So make sure we're doing that. The next letter is L, which stands for listen. And I love this one too because I'm always ready to talk, but not so ready to listen, right? And that's a problem because we're going to get to know people who are in our circle. We have to learn to be good listeners. The problem is that doesn't naturally happen for most of us. Most of us would rather talk than listen. And so in the book, the Fergusons give us 4 categories of questions that we can use to help us become better listeners. They all start with H. They are history, heart, habits, and hurts. So first, we can learn about someone's history by asking them to share their story. We can learn about their heart by asking them something like, what's your favorite team or restaurant or place to go on vacation? We can learn about their habits by saying, what are you into? What do you like to do with your spare time? And over time, there'll be the opportunity to hear about their hurts. You ask them, hey, how are you doing with this or that thing that happened? It opens us up to that conversation. And I know that these questions, they aren't like unique or amazing questions, but sometimes it can just be helpful to have some questions in your pocket you can pull out to help you remember to be a good listener. And here's the thing, if you're willing to listen to the people in your circle, if you're praying for them, God is going to give you insight into their lives. The next letter is E. I've got some good news for you. The E stands for eat. Now, for all you foodies out there, you're stoked. You're pretty sure you just found your spiritual gift. And that's great because sharing a meal with somebody, that is a timeless tradition. It's across all cultures, a way that you can connect with people and build relationships. So whether you're gathered in a home or you're meeting together in a restaurant to share a meal, it's really a great catalyst for building relationships. The next is the first S, which stands for serve. Now, if you've been around Epic for a bit, you know that serving is a big way that we follow Jesus. Jesus was the greatest servant the world has ever known, the most humble, the most faithful servant, and he's our model. Whenever we serve, we show the world in a practical way what Jesus is like. It puts a message of Jesus on display for others to see. So serving is going to be an important way that we develop those relationships with people in our circle to demonstrate the love of Jesus. But serving also has another important role in how we can introduce people to the church. One of the things that we're going to be focusing on in this new church model is making sure that we are serving in our communities. All across the city and in the KOP region, we want to have community outreach opportunities available so that we can put our faith into action. And here's the thing, inviting someone to serve with you, that might be the best way to introduce them to the church. You can invite them to come pack food boxes with you or do another community outreach event, even before they ever watch a church service, even before you really talk about God much. So it's a great way for us to introduce somebody to the church in a way that they can appreciate and understand. So serving the people in your circle, inviting them to serve with you, they're both important ways to help them move towards God. And the final S, it stands for story. Now, if you've been in prayer, if you've been a good listener, if you've eaten a meal together, if you've shown God's love in a practical way by serving, that person in your circle, they're not just going to be willing to tolerate your story. They're going to be hoping that you share your story with them because you've built an authentic, genuine relationship. So sharing the story of what God has done in your life, that's just going to be a natural progression in that relationship. Now, this is a place where I can sense some of us tense up a little bit. It makes us a little bit uncomfortable. If that's you, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Ken's been saying throughout this series, we do hard things. And here's what I found. When you take the step to share your story, when you see how it impacts somebody and how it's helpful to them, man, it's going to make your courage grow. As that courage grows, you're going to be looking for opportunities any and everywhere you can to share your story with other people. Apostle Peter, he wrote this. He said, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Peter says, man, you've got to know why you have a hope in Jesus and be ready to share with people all the time. It's so important because we're God's ambassadors. We're God's representatives. Now, I know that this is stretching. I know this feels uncomfortable, but it's actually good for us. God wants to grow you. He wants to use you. He wants to grow me. He wants us always to be ready to be that witness for him whenever he brings the opportunity. And let's be honest, and isn't that really the least we can do for all that God has done for us, to actually share it with other people? So that's a simple acrostic, bless, that you can use to help introduce people in your circle to Jesus. Be in prayer, listen, eat together, serve, and share. Now, does that mean that you can't serve until you've eaten with somebody? No. Does that mean you can't share with them until you've served? No. I mean, oftentimes early in a relationship, God opens the door of opportunity for you to share your story. This is just one potential pathway that you can use to start to begin these relationships, to be intentional with the people in your circle, so ultimately you can share with them the message that will change their life and their eternity. This new church model is designed to reach every person in our city by equipping you to reach every person in your circle. Now, this is all kind of a little bit new, and so some of us pastors have been asking people around us to get their feedback. We've been telling them about what we're doing and say, what do you think? And so, man, we tell other pastors and other people in ministry, our friends, our family, the lady at the grocery store that checks out my groceries, really anybody who will actually listen to us. I'm asking them, like, what do you think about this? And one of the most common answers I've heard goes something like this. You know what? That really makes sense. I think that could work. I just have one question. Will people actually do it? You know what I tell them? I don't know. I don't know how many people in our church are going to take advantage of this opportunity to commit to reaching the people in their circle. I don't know. But I do know this. There's no church model on the planet that's going to work if the ekklesia, the people who are called out to follow Jesus, if they aren't committed to living out the mission of Jesus. Doesn't matter how cool the building is, doesn't matter how moving the message is, or how beautiful the music is. And real, long-lasting life change only comes when people are willing to commit themselves to seeking God and then living out their faith by loving the people around them. When we do that, amazing things happen. So won't you join us in committing to reaching the people in your circle? Man, it's okay if this feels hard. It's okay to grow into it, but won't you take a step of faith and ask God to help you be the person he wants you to be to the people in your circle? Let me pray for us. God, thank you so much that you invite us into a relationship with you, and then you invite us into your mission to help other people come in a relationship with you. God, I thank you that none of us are placed on this world in a random way. God, you place us in a circle, in relationships with people that you want to come to know you through us. So God, today I pray for every person listening. I pray that we would take a step of faith and in this moment say, God, I'm willing. I'm willing to let you use me to reach people in my circle. God, help me to see through your eyes, to love people with your heart. And God, through our willingness, won't you do amazing things in our circles and in our city? We love you. Thank you for the privilege of being your ambassador. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thanks for that message, Jake. It was awesome. #blessed. Come on now.
Hey, you remember what it stands for?
Got the notes right here.
Okay.
Be in prayer, listen, eat together. Gonna nail that one, okay? Serve and share your story.
Nailed it.
So much helpful content. Can't wait to put it into practice.
Hey, thank you, Jake, for that. Hey, #bless up, baby. Bless up. Hey, well, listen, before you go, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, let's go. Subscribe. Come on.
And don't forget to share on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Click those buttons so it can get all out in front of people on the interwebs, to our family and our friends. Get it out there.
Yeah, hey, if you're new here, Pastor Kent would love to say hi, so stick around for that. And dads, hopefully you have a great Father's Day. Fire up that grill, have some fun, and Will, you are ready for summer, huh?
I mean, yeah, come on, look at me. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen, baby.
Will can't get enough of summer. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back next week. Will, I love them goggles, man.
Let's go.
Well, hey, thanks again for joining us for church today. If you're new, we're glad you're here. And I just want you to know we do church just like this online every single week. And we'd love for you to be a part. If you had a good time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, and we'll make sure we keep you in the loop. Listen, no matter who you are, we believe that God has an incredible plan for your life. And we just want to do our part to help you discover what that is. So keep following along online, and make sure you text the word HERE to the number on the screen so we can make it official, send you your t-shirt, and get you all hooked up with everything you need to get connected and be part of the fam. In fact, I personally want to invite you to be one of our guests at the welcome party because we'd love the chance to get to meet you. Again, so glad you're here today. Text that number, and we'll see you next week.